I have got my favorite face brushes to share with you guys today. Both the high-end version and then also a less expensive version of the brush that I would use kind of for the same type of a function. A few of the brushes may be dirty because if we waited for me to wash all my brushes, then this video probably wouldn't happen for a while. And I know you guys have been requesting and asking about it quite a bit. So I kind of made a list. And I thought I would start in kind of how I put product on my face. So I'm going to go ahead and start with foundation. And then also concealer. And then just to make note, you'll notice I do use all synthetic brushes when it comes to any liquid products. Like when I put any concealer or liquid foundation, BB creams, anything like that, I like to use a synthetic brush. And I also like to use a synthetic brush to set any liquids like setting powder and stuff like that, because I tend to wash those brushes a lot more than any other brushes that I use on my face, because they are hitting my skin more directly than a lot of the other brushes like blush and stuff like that. You can get away with not washing those ones quite as much as like your foundation brushes and stuff, and your synthetic brushes can really take the multiple washes, and they can kind of take a beating and still hold up fairly well, whereas especially your more expensive real hair or natural bristled brushes, you're not going to want to wash those as frequently. They're just like, your own hair. They can dry. The more you wash them, and especially if you use like I know a lot of people like to use the brush cleaner, like the MAC one and the quick type of brush cleaners to switch colors out and stuff like that. Those have got like alcohol and a lot of drying ingredients to them, so like I wouldn't use like my really expensive like my Goss brushes or my Hakuhodo brushes and stuff like that with those things fairly often. Actually, personally, I don't use those products at all, but those will take a toll on your natural hair brushes. Anyway, point being, I use synthetics for those because I wash them a lot more. So to start off with, I have got the Marc Jacobs The Face 2 brush. It is an angled brush like this. It is a synthetic, and it's got like an angle there. If I spread it out like this, it covers quite a bit of surface area, and it is fairly dense. I feel like this is, if there ever was a brush that performed fairly close to the Beauty Blender, which I really do like the Beauty Blender, and then the cheaper version, the Real Techniques sponge for liquids, but my Dr. Jart Premium BB Cream, the Beauty Blender absorbs a lot of the product, so I've kind of been using a brush more recently because I've noticed how fast I was going through that. And then the Real Techniques sponge is the closest dupe to a Beauty Blender that I have personally tried, but I have found that absorbs even more product than the Beauty Blender does. Anyway, this is like the closest thing to a brush that I found that kind of performs like the Beauty Blender, because it does cover a nice surface area, and it is fairly dense, so that when you push it on, it kind of does that same type of motion as it's not the same as a Beauty Blender, but it's the closest in a brush form that I found, and I really like this brush for liquid and BB cream and stuff like that. So this is the Marc Jacobs The Face 2 brush. Of course, I've got two of these and they're both dirty. Go figure. Another brush that's great for liquid, and this is also great for mineral powder foundation as well, is the Sephora Pro Airbrush number 55. This was a limited edition one, so it's got a fancy little handle here, but this works well for putting on the liquids, and it's also really great for buffing in the mineral foundation, so I really like this brush. And then a cheaper version that I absolutely love is the Real Techniques The Buffing Brush. I have got so many of these, and these aren't sold separate either, and I bought several kits of these because I really like this brush. This is what I've been using more recently for my BB cream. My Marc Jacobs ones are dirty, and I have a ton of these, and these work really nice. One of the things that I found with like the Real Techniques, or actually some less expensive brushes in general, because I have a lot of certain ones, especially like Real Techniques and e.l.f., is they're a little inconsistent. Like this one here, this particular one, I grabbed a fresh one this morning, and it's like super soft and stuff. The other one that I was using had a few scratchy bristles in it, and it didn't feel quite as dense as this one. So I mean, they both perform pretty decent, but there is a little bit of a variation from brush to brush in the cheaper brush ranges anyway. But I do really love this brush right here for buffing in the liquid products. And then a brush that I'm going to probably be mentioning several times is the Real Techniques Multitask Brush. Another brush, I think I've got 12 of these. And again, they don't sell them separate. I bought that many kits because I absolutely love this brush. Again, they do vary from brush to brush. A few of them have a little bit of a scratchier bristle. Some of them are like a little bit shorter. I've noticed, you know, some variation from brush to brush in the same type of brush. But in any event, I do love this brush. It's good for everything on the face. For me, I can do everything except concealer because it's too big to reach like my inner corners. But this is great for liquid product. It's great for the BB cream, foundation. It's awesome for mineral foundation as well. And I really, really like this brush. It's the multitasker and the name definitely fits. Another more expensive brush here that I really like for mineral foundation in particular is the Marc Jacobs, the Face 1 brush. So this one here is a full like domed brush. It is circular all the way around, where the other one, the Face 2, is angled. I love this brush for mineral foundation. It buffs it in great into the skin. It does work for liquids as well, but I prefer it more for like your mineral foundation. It's also good to, when you're done with all of your face stuff, if you like to use a finishing powder, it's good for a finishing powder too. Or if you really want to buff like your bronzers into your skin after, like I like to place product and then kind of buff it. I really like to work it into the skin. It's good for that too, but I really love it for the mineral foundations. Like this next brush is the e.l.f. Kabuki face brush. I love this here for buffing in the mineral foundation as well. It's bigger than the Face 1 from Marc Jacobs. Like, it's bigger in size. Here's the e.l.f. one, and then here's the Marc Jacobs one. It's a little bit fluffier, not quite as dense as the Marc Jacobs one, but if you're in a hurry, this will put on like the Laura Geller mineral foundation I like to use. This puts it on real fast. It's really good for that. And then also I like to use it for setting powder as well over like my BB cream, which is kind of what I've been, it's dirty because this is the one that I've been using currently to set my BB cream with whatever powder I'm using. Again, this is a brush that I have a lot of, and certain ones have shed a few hairs, like not like shedding like the hairs breaking off, but actual full bristles coming out. You'll notice that synthetic brushes don't really shed in little tiny pieces like a natural hair brush, because the natural hair brushes are actually, the bristles are, you know, busting off in a more dry sense, kind of like your hair and split ends and stuff like that, where these, the whole bristles usually come out of them. I haven't had too many with a ton of them, but they are also inconsistent. But I get them for, when e.l.f. is having a sale for like $2.50. I think I probably have 10 of these as well, and they're just handy, and I mean, you can't beat them for the price really, but I really do like this brush. And it's super soft as well. These next two brushes are concealer brushes, and of course they're both dirty. I've been using both of these brushes. I've got several of both of them. This is the Sephora Pro Airbrush Concealer Brush number 57, this one right here. And then this one right here is the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer Brush. Another brush that I get on sale, I think $1.50 is what I pay for this. They both do a great job of putting on concealer. They both fit nicely in this area of my face, which is usually how I like to size a concealer brush for this area. I know some people really like the bigger brushes for concealer, but they just don't fit right there for me. So I really like these. The e.l.f. one is slightly more fluffy than this is the e.l.f. one, and here's the Sephora one. And sometimes I find myself liking the e.l.f. one more than the Sephora one because it is fluffier. Again, every once in a while I'll get a brush with like a scratchy bristle in it, which when I have a brush that's got like a stray bristle that just will not stay, or that feels scratchy, I'll like try to pinpoint it. I'll take a tweezer to it and I'll pluck out the bad eggs in the brush, and it works because I've had some hairs that were longer or sticking out on the side, or I've even had a brush where I could feel the real thick, dense synthetic bristle that was in there that was scratching my face, and I just take a tweezer to it and I pluck the bristle out and it works. So in any event, these are my two favorite concealer brushes right here, and I'm not gonna lie, I think I prefer the e.l.f. one slightly more than the Sephora one, although I love them both. So those are what I use for concealer mostly. And then to set concealer, I've got 5 of them to show you guys. There are 3 on this side that are inexpensive, and then these 2 are kind of mid-range. They're not too expensive either, and then again, all of these are synthetic brushes. This one right here is just a really soft, fluffy one from a generic Walmart brand. It doesn't have no writing on it. It's like the HD something or another. It's a great little setting brush right here. And then the one next to it is a EcoTools brush. It is synthetic. It is super soft as well. And then we've got the Real Techniques setting brush, which is awesome for setting. And then this one over here I'll talk about first. It's a little bit bigger than this guy. This is a Kazette S150 right here. This is one that's in my current rotation at the moment. These ones are all dirty and need to be washed. I love this brush for setting, but the one out of all of these, although you can see that these 3 here, these more inexpensive ones, the Real Techniques setting brush, this EcoTools one, and then this guy over here, all really have a similar shape to them. And then these 3 all kind of have a little bit of a point. This one over here is round and kind of a fluffier one. But out of all of these, although I love all of them, this one right here is my favorite to set concealer. It's a pointier and it's slightly smaller than these guys, and that is a Kazette S165 brush. I don't know if this is going to focus. But this, and I have 2 of these and they're both dirty. These are always dirty. But this is my favorite setting brush for underneath the eyes right here. But all of these are great. I love all of them. They all do a great job. They're all really soft and gentle and nice underneath the eyes, and they're great. So, and then for brushes that I like to use to set like either foundations or BB creams all over the face, typically, again, they're all synthetic because I tend to wash them a little bit more. They go over the liquid product. They still always, no matter how gentle you are with it, they still always grab a little bit of a liquid product, and so they tend to gunk up a little bit faster than like an all-over powder brush or something like that. So I tend to wash them again a lot more than some of my other brushes, so typically they're all synthetic. I like the Marc Jacobs, the bronzer brush for setting. It's huge. If this is like the palm of my hand, I do have big hands, but like the surface area that this guy covers is huge, and it does a nice job of putting a even coating of powder on the skin, and it like covers a lot of area, and it's just all quick like this. Again, it's great for what it's intended for, which is bronzer. I like a little bit more of a specific application of bronzer than this, because again, this is huge. But it's also good to just buff all over the face if you were to have all of your color in your blush and you kind of want everything to meld seamlessly on your skin. It's good for that as well. But I love it for setting, and I love it for finishing powder. It's good for that. It's just a really good one. The Face One is also good for setting as well, but it's a little bit smaller and more dense, so it's gonna put more product down in a more concentrated area than something like this one would. Again, the Real Techniques Multitasker brush is great for setting. Like when you use it on the side there, it also covers a decent amount of area, and since it's not as dense as like the Face One, like this brush here, it's not going to apply as too much powder in one area, even though it's a little bit smaller. But let's just talk about this brush real quick. Again, I've got 12 of them, I think. I love this brush. It's good for blush, so I don't have to mention it again and again and again. It's great for blush. It's great for bronzer. It's great for highlighting. It's great for mineral foundation. It's great for liquid. This is a heck of a good brush, and like I said, again, the multitasker name fits it. It's totally worth the money. It's not, what is it? I think it comes in a kit for $14 with 4 other brushes. I've purchased several kits just because I wanted this brush, more of these brushes, and I wish that they would sell them separately. I love it. Another brush that I typically only use for setting powder is the Kazette S100. I believe there's a different number on this brush now, but it is an angled brush. And again, like the size-wise of it this way, it covers a lot of surface area. So, and it's not as dense either. It's more fluffy, but it's kind of flat, so it puts powder all over the face fairly quickly and in a nice, even application on the face. So I really like this brush as well. It's a Kazette S100. I think the new numbering is a 1. I'm not sure. It looks just like this on the website though. And then a more recent addition to my brush collection is the EcoTools. It's the angled kabuki, and I got this at Walmart not too long ago, and I kind of want a couple more of these. It's really awesome. It's even bigger yet. It's bigger than the Kazette, which is right here, and it's all about, maybe the equivalent to the bronzer brush. I'm trying to show you like the side of the, it covers about the same amount of surface area as the Marc Jacobs, the bronze brush. And it's angled and it's fluffy and it's a little less dense than the Marc Jacobs one, so it's going to give you an even lighter application of powder. But it covers a nice surface area. This is a really great brush for setting powder. And it's also one of those brushes that's good for blending in products all over the face. So that's the EcoTools angled kabuki brush. It's a good one. It's one of the newer ones to their line, but look at how much, covers a lot of surface area. Now for blush brushes, I'm going to start out with the ones that I like for cream blushes, and I don't really have a cheaper alternative to these two. These ones here, I like to put cream. Typically I use it over powder, and that can be a little bit tricky. So these are the two brushes that I found with certain cream products like the Stila Convertible Colors that when I stipple them on with these two brushes, it doesn't move my set baby cream or what have you. Or even I've put cream blushes on over unset liquid and it'll still move the liquid product. These two brushes don't do that for me. Again, I use them both in a stippling motion. And this is the Sephora Pro Angled Blush Brush in 49. This is good for powder as well, but I really love it with the Stila Convertible Colors. And this is the Pantone Universe Color of the Year. It's in the regular line as well. Again, it's the Pro Angled Blush number 49. And then the other one is the Wayne Goss number 1 brush. This little guy here is amazing for cream products in general, but it's great for liquid highlight, both over powdered skin and skin that isn't set yet, that still, you know, has the tackiness from your liquid products. It's good for the blush, and it's just really a really good brush for putting liquid products on the skin. Again, typically I use them over powdered skin, and both of these do a great job without moving the product or whatever I have underneath those products. So I really like them. And this is the Goss number 1 brush. It is a goat hair synthetic mix. Like these taller ones are synthetic and then the shorter ones are goat bristle. So if you want to stipple the color on, you know, you just tap and the synthetics will hit. But if you wanted to use it with like a foundation or something and really buff into your skin, you can push a little bit harder and you'll get more bristle action from the goat hair bristles that are in there. And then once you get it on your face buffed in, you can use the slightly longer synthetics to put it on airbrush, like, if that makes any sense at all. But I love these two brushes for those things. And then for regular powder brush, again, the Real Techniques Multitasker does a great job of that. I have got the e.l.f. blush brush. I get them on sale. They're great. This is a e.l.f. blush brush. It is a synthetic as well as the Real Techniques one. And then this one here is an EcoTools blush brush. Again, super soft. One thing with the EcoTools and the e.l.f., I have had handles come out of the ferrule with a few of them. Again, I'm a little bit rougher with my synthetic brushes than my expensive Japanese handmade brushes. But a little bit of super glue put inside the ferrule and put the handle back in, and I mean, again, for $1.50 you kind of can't beat it. But after I do that, I never have a handle come back out. And then one thing that I really love, side note, one thing that I really love about the Real Techniques brushes in particular is, although they are really soft and they're synthetic, the ends, like kind of where you see the white part of the bristles, it's like textured synthetic, so it's not like straight silky soft synthetic. But these are going to pick up product and buff it better than, it'll buff it more like a natural bristle brush, and it's soft and it's synthetic, but it'll do that. Or like this EcoTools brush is really nice as well, but if you have got a product that's really pressed in the pan, or it's not going to pick up the product as well as like the Real Techniques one with its like textured synthetic tips to it, as well as like your natural bristled brushes. So I guess essentially what I'm trying to say is these here, like if I were to take this EcoTools brush, because it is so soft at the ends, it's like straight synthetic kind of, it tapers slightly, but it's not as textured as the Real Techniques one. If I were to take this to like one of my Guerlain blushes that creates hard pan really easy, or like I couldn't use an EcoTools brush with my Guerlain Meteorites pressed because it would just rub the surface until it created a hard pan. It wouldn't actually pick up product because of the nature of the bristles, if that makes sense. But I do like this for blush. It's a great cheaper alternative. The e.l.f. brushes are slightly more textured on the ends than the EcoTools ones. Now, not all of the EcoTools ones are as smooth as this one is. Like the new angled Kabuki one is slightly more textured on the ends than this one. But you'll get that with those synthetic brushes. Even though like the softest of the soft synthetic brushes, sometimes you will find that they will not pick up product and put it on the skin as nicely as a synthetic brush that's got a little bit more texture to the bristle, like the Real Techniques brush. But needless to say, those are all really great, affordable blush brushes. Personally, I love the Real Techniques Multitasker. Some more expensive versions here. I'll start off with these Goss brushes here. I've got the number 11 brush, which is right here, and then I've got the number 12 brush, which the 12 brush is slightly denser. It's got a flat top, and it's pinched. Well, they're pinched about the same, but it's got a flat top, whereas this one's got more of a dome top to it. Both of them work really great for blush. They work for highlight. They work for this one here is decent for contouring. It's not my favorite for contouring, but it does work. Now these here Goss brushes, these are goat hair brushes, and the brown goat hair brushes in his range, which he's got the eye brush, the number 19. There's a fan brush. I'm getting off topic. Anyway, the bristles like this in his range, out of all of the goat hair bristled brushes that I have, Chikuhodo, Hakuhodo, any of them, these are the softest goat hair brushes I have ever felt. Like they're borderline, I don't know, they almost feel slightly like they could be squirrel, but they're not. They're goat hair brushes. So that is something to make note of. There are some, you know, great Chikuhodo and Hakuhodo goat brushes that I have as well, but just to make note that these are the softest goat hair brushes that I have ever felt. And they're great blush brushes as well. They can be used for highlight. They're really nice brushes. So this one here is the number 12, and this one's the number 11. So your goat hair brushes are going to pick up more product. They're also going to buff them into the skin more, and they're going to also do it faster than a brush that's made out of squirrel. So anyway, these two brushes here. This is a Chikuhodo goat hair brush, which I love for a little bit harder pressed blushes. It'll pick up product a little bit better. But this one here, I love this brush. I've got two Chikuhodo blush brushes that I love. This one right here is the Z8. It is bigger than, it is a Chikuhodo Z8 cheek brush right here. And then this one right here is the Z4, I believe. Yeah, the Z4. And I probably use the Z4 more. It just puts the blush, it puts the blush on the skin. so nice and airily feeling. I love both of these Chikuhodo brushes. And then I recently got this one in a holiday kit, although Chikuhodo makes some other nice white goat hair brushes if you're interested, or either the Goss goat hair brushes are amazing as well. But I've really been using this guy kind of a lot, but it's just a white goat haired brush. But I think probably my favorite, most used one is the cheek highlight brush, which is the Z4 by Chikuhodo. I love this brush for blush. It's just, it's awesome. It's great for highlight as well, you know, cheek highlight, but I typically use it mostly for blush. And again, since it's one of those natural hair brushes I don't wash as often as like my foundation brushes and stuff like that, since I'm using it with blush, I typically just use it with blush instead of mix through highlight and blush and back and forth, and if that makes any sense. But this is probably my favorite. For highlight brushes, two awesome inexpensive versions are the e.l.f. small tapered brush, which looks like this. This is a great soft one as well. This one here is one of those ones that's, it's not as textured as the this one here, which is the Real Techniques contour brush, which is also great for highlight, and both of these are good for contour as well. Again, multiple uses for both these brushes. They'd probably be good for setting concealer and stuff like that, but I typically like a smaller brush, but I'm picking them for highlight. The Real Techniques one, again, has got more of a textured end to it, so it's going to pick up product a little bit better than the e.l.f. one, although both of these are really great options, affordable options, and they're both really soft. So there's the e.l.f. small tapered brush, and then the Real Techniques contour brush right there, which again, both can be used for contour as well, but neither of them are my favorite in the lower end department. And then for highlight, which these are pretty much my most used highlight brushes, is the Chikuhodo highlight brush, and this is the Z2. It is slightly fluffier and a little bit pointier than the other one that I'm going to show you, but both of these are squirrel brushes as well. They're really soft, great for applying highlight in this area of the face. I love, these are my most used highlight brushes, and well, to be perfectly honest, these are pretty much the only two brushes that I use for highlight for the most part. So the other one is the Goss number 2 brush right here, which is not as big as the Chikuhodo version, and it's not as pointy either. Again, you can use both these brushes for contour and stuff like that, but personally, these are the only two brushes that I really use for highlight. So this is the Chikuhodo Z2, and this is the Goss number 2. Both nice brushes right here. On to bronzer. I'm going to mention it again, even though I'm like a broken record now. The Real Techniques Multitasker brush. I love this for bronzer. It's great for everything. And then the other one that is also really nice, this is more for, I'd say, a less precise, more all over, really sun-kissed type of a bronze look. This is the Real Techniques Blush Brush. This is a good brush for blush as well, which is, it's what it's intended for, I guess, but it's real light and fluffy, so it does a good job of just really dusting more of a natural type of a sun-kissed bronze look, and it doesn't, this one doesn't work bronzer into the skin quite as much as the Real Techniques Multitasker does, so that's why I say like a lighter dusting all over the, the high points, more of a sun-kissed look is something that I would use this for bronzing for, but I like the Multitasker in the cheaper version for bronzing than I do this one in particular. And then for higher end bronzing brushes, I find myself reaching for these two quite a bit. This is the Wayne Goss number 13. It's a great contour brush as well, but when I speak of like contour, I use a much smaller brush with a more gray tone cool powder. When I speak of like these two here, which I'm going to talk about, it's more of like a bronze contour. Like when I put it in my cheek, I don't put it in the hollow. I kind of put it right above the hollow, and then when I buff this way, it kind of gives you a it's like a cross between contour and sun-kissed. It's kind of, kind of a cross between where the sun would naturally hit you and then contouring the bronzer, kind of a in-between, because I don't really contour. I have high cheekbones anyway, and I don't really contour specifically with my face every day. If I want to get real sharp, I'll go in with my Chanel Notorious, which is a gray powder, and another brush, which I'll show you in a minute, and I just put it in the real backs, and that I put directly in the hollows of the cheek. These two brushes here, I kind of put above, almost on the actual cheekbone itself, and buff in circular motions. I love the Goss 13 brush. Again, softest real natural goat-haired brush I have ever felt is these brown bristled brushes from Wayne Goss. This is a great brush in general. It's great for if you like more precise buffing of mineral foundations and stuff like that. It'd be good for that as well, but again, I wash those brushes a lot more, so I don't like to use my natural hair brushes on products like that. And then the other one, which I've been using this nonstop every single day since I've gotten it, it's the Marc Jacobs The Shape Brush number 15. This thing is awesome. It's really dense. It's got a lot of movement to it. And again, it's called the contour brush, which, it'll contour your face, but it's a little bit bigger than what I would use to specifically contour my personal face. So I've just been putting it kind of, here's the hollow. I put it kind of right about here, and then I just buff it in circular motions like that, and then I do it on the forehead as well. And this buffs out the product really well, but it does put it on a little bit more precise, so that's when I kind of go in with like whatever powder I use to set my BB cream and really buff it into the skin. If you watch like my Get Ready With Me's and stuff like that, you'll see me do that, but this does a good job buffing it into the skin by itself as well without having to go in with a second brush, but it's a really good one. It's a good contour brush. It's a good one for specifically placing bronzer, I guess how I like. And then probably my favorite all-around bronzer brush is the Tom Ford number 5, the bronzer brush. This thing is awesome. It tapers kind of to a point, so if how I kind of described how I use the Marc Jacobs brush, if you want to do that, just set the tip on there, it will work in that fashion. Or if you want to place it like that, and then instead of going in with like that second brush like I had mentioned to really buff it out, all you have to do is push a little bit more on the face, and your brush is going to get bigger and blend that bronzer out for you. I absolutely love this brush for bronzer. I kind of want 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 more. I only have one of them, and it's actually clean right now, believe it or not. If you wanted to invest in an all-over, super nice, soft bronzing brush, it's going to buff the bronzer in, it's going to put bronzer on your face beautifully. This guy is amazing. And then another side note, Hakuhodo makes Tom Ford brushes, and then if you're wondering about like Suku, I know a lot of people, they're kind of hard to get, the Suku brushes. I personally don't have any, but they are made by Chikuhodo. And then I'm also like 90% sure that Hakuhodo makes Wayne Goss's brushes as well, because some of his eye brushes and some of the Hakuhodo eye brushes that I have are like dead on for each other. They're much more close in comparison than any other of the Japanese brushes I have, like Chikuhodo and stuff. And then like your other brushes, your other Japanese brushes like Koyudo and a couple other ones are way different in fabrication. So love the Tom Ford bronzer brush. It is a really good bronzer brush, which is its intention. And then for contouring, again, the Real Techniques contour brush for a cheaper version, and the e.l.f. small taper brush. These are both great for contouring and highlighting. You can use just the point to get real specific in the back of the cheek, or you can, you know, push a little bit harder. Your brush will get bigger if you wanted to get a little bit more buffed out part of a contour. And then another less expensive one is the Zoeva 109 face paint brush. It looks like so. Kind of looks like the NARS Ita brush, which I don't have the NARS Ita because I felt it in the store before. Much too scratchy, much too dyed, much not for me. The Zoeva ones are pretty inexpensive for what you're getting. The reason why they're so soft but still they work so well is because they're a mix of, well, a lot of them, not all of them. This one in particular is a mix of a goat hair and then also synthetic. So you're getting kind of the best of the buffing of the natural hair, but also with the softness. Because it is a less expensive brush, the goat hair isn't going to be as soft as, like, you know, your Tom Ford brush, but it's got the synthetic in there to make it soft and also function like a natural hair brush. So if you're wondering about that, but this here is a really good if you want to carve out those cheekbones, and also if you want to use it in a more circular motion, it'll also do a nice job of buffing. So that's the Zoeva 109 face paint brush right there. Which Zoeva is a company that makes some pretty nice inexpensive brushes in itself, but I know that their natural hair brushes are a little bit more processed than your you know, your more expensive Japanese brushes, but they mix a lot of them with a synthetic bristle, so you're going to get that softness while at the same time getting the performance of the natural haired brush, if that makes sense. And then my personal favorite contouring brush is the Chikuhodo contour brush, it's called. It is a Z3 brush. This is what I like to use with the more gray, cool tone powders. And I don't like, you know, put a strong contour on my face. This is used only very specifically, like if I were to, which I don't use it quite as often because I don't, you know, really go to town contouring my own face anyway. Dogs, coyotes, things happening out there. But I would just put it in the back of the cheekbone, and little tiny circular motions bring it just to right there. Every so often, maybe right there, and if I really want to get specific, just a tiny bit of powder right there. I really love this. This is a great little brush, and this is a squirrel brush as well. So that is the Chikuhodo Z3. This is probably my #1 contouring brush right here. And then last but not least is finishing powders. For cheaper versions, I do like the Real Techniques blush brush. For finishing powder, it's soft, it's real airy, it's not quite as dense, it's got quite a bit of give to it, and it covers a nice area on the face. So like your Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powders is something that I would use for finishing, or the Guerlain Meteorite Pearls, something like that. So for a cheaper alternative, this guy is a decent one. And then my absolute favorite finishing powders are the Chikuhodo Z1 powder brush, which looks like this right here. This is a squirrel bristle brush, and then the other one here, I have got the MK1 and the MK2. I believe this one here is the MK1. The only difference between the 1 and the 2 is the design on the on the handle here. So your MK1 and MK2 is going to be slightly bigger. It's taller, and it's also more airy feeling. It's, for lack of a better term, it's bushier. And then the Z1, it's a little bit more dense, it's shorter, and it's a little bit more compact than the MK1 and the MK2 brush. But I pretty much use one of my Chikuhodo Squirrel brushes daily for finishing powder, like again the Ambient Hourglass lighting powders, the Guerlain Meteorite Pearls. These are brushes that you'll just want to keep going like this on your face. And then, you know, with the finishing powders, they finish off the face. They kind of bring your blush, your highlight, all the color products that you placed on your face all together. But as well, this will lightly, additionally, blend them all together into your face to get a real seamless look. These are both really great brushes for that. And then the MK1 as well is really great for all over natural bronzing. So if you wanted to do like your forehead, you know, the tops of your cheek, a real nice airy feeling bronze, a real natural look, the MK or the Z1 is really nice for that. I feel like this is like the longest video ever, and I'm probably going to take forever to edit it. But additionally, I do want to make note, because I get a lot of questions, what brush brand here, there, or whatever do I prefer. All of the Goss brushes are amazing. Depending on which one you want to get, depends on which one you, I guess, would reach for the most based on function. You know, what brush, you know, whether it's your eye shape or how you like to place product on your own face would determine the shape. I do recommend all the Goss brushes. His 2 holiday brushes out of his entire range are the scratchiest, I guess, or the least soft out of his entire range. And I feel like, especially the black holiday brush, I feel like it was over dyed a little bit. But his brown, again, his brown goat brushes, softest brushes, goat brushes I have ever felt. They're great. They're really great brushes. In the Chikuhodo line, the Z line is great. The Z Squirrel line. In those higher end brush brands like Hakuhodo and Chikuhodo, I typically like the white goat or squirrel. I don't really like the Capra and some of the other brushes with those type of hairs for all over my face, or a real black, a dyed black goat brush. I'm not real keen on that. Dye takes a toll, and I feel like it really sucks kind of some of the softness out of some brushes. So some of those e.l.f. brushes you just cannot beat for the price. I do use like the e.l.f. Kabuki brushes. I use them all the time. There's some e.l.f. brushes that, like the concealer brush, that's, I think probably if I could only have one concealer brush, it'd probably be one of my e.l.f. concealer brushes. So the Real Techniques core line is great. I'm not the biggest fan of their newest brushes. I feel like they're weighted funny, and they're just, I don't know, ergonomically a little bit difficult. I think that the core line is amazing. The Multitasker is truly a multitasker. I love this brush. I wouldn't mind having 10 more of these because I feel like they're always dirty, and I have a lot of them. That's a great brush. Zoeva makes great brushes. The Sephora Pro line makes great brushes. I could just go on and on. So anyway, hopefully this was somewhat helpful for you guys, and you guys got to look to some of my favorite brushes and I guess how I like to use them. Eyes is definitely going to have to be a different video. Hopefully it won't take me as long to do that one as it did this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to wear sunscreen, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.